I'm Christian Rios, and I'm here interviewing Carmen Duarte. She graduated from class of 1974. So let's get started. First question. Hi, Carmen. Thank you for coming to Pueblo High School, and I'm really excited to interview you. So let's get started. Here at Pueblo, what were you like when you attended Pueblo, and what kind of student were you?
I loved my years at Pueblo. I entered in 71, and I graduated in 1974. As a high school student, you find yourself in high school. It's a time, for you to experience who you are. You grow up. There's challenges, and you either go with the challenge and stand up to when you have to stand up for others when you have to stand up for others, or either go with the flow. But for each individual, it's a time when you have to come to terms with who you are and your values and your faith and your responsibilities, goals, objectives in life, core things that you were taught as a child, and it's a time when you experience life, and it can be such a wonderful time when you go with it.
It teaches you a lot of lessons.
It teaches you lessons in life.
Maturity. I think maturity has a lot to do.
And it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun time. And sure, things can be difficult, but you take those challenges and you learn from them. And it's those challenges that make you a stronger person. So I say, for kids youth who feel like they're alone, or people pick on them, or people don't understand them, or life sometimes can be difficult, and you're wondering, why me? Take those obstacles, take that hurt, take that pain, and grow from it. Learn to move with it. Learn that those things cannot keep you down. You have to pick up, and you have to go with what you want in life, and you're the only one that's going to do it, and it comes from within, and you have to find happiness from within. You have to find the virtues, the values. It's all in your heart, and you have to learn, and what's right and wrong, and go with it. Go. Sure, we make mistakes, but learn from those mistakes and keep going, go forward.
Based from high school, what kind of student were you? Can you tell me?
I was a good student,
and
I love school. School. I went to St. John's, so my basics were well prepared, and I loved classes. I participated. I was in the National Honor Society. I was involved in the newspaper. I was involved. Mr. Hitchcock was my science teacher, and he got me involved in taking care of scores in track.
Wow.
And he asked me to ask my friends, all girls, to run each event. So I used to go with the team, travel, to the away games, the home games, and I was involved I was flag girl. I was involved in that, and I was very active, very busy. I was interviewing, doing stories.
What was your favorite class you would say here at Pueblo High School?
I loved English. I had Mr. Helm, and I just talked to Mr. Helm not that long ago, Jerry Helm. He was a wonderful man. He was so energetic, and and we had oh God, I'm trying to think. I think it was Passport, the name of the game. It was very popular on the television. But then it was a board game, and it was to build our vocabulary. So every Friday we played the game, and you would throw out words, and then you'd have to guess what you and your partner would throw words out to each other, and you'd have to guess what that word was, and you'd get points. And so we were the champions. It's myself and
That's good, man.
Grant Woods, I think it was. Yeah. and I loved it. I loved it. I loved biology. It was Mr. Helm. I'm sorry, Mr. Hitchcock. English, I had Mr. Helm, Mrs. Schwimmer, Mrs. Danks. Well, journalism was Mrs. Eckerstrom. Math, I was not great in math, but the basics I could handle. But I barely passed algebra because I gabbed too much and I'd lose steps. But I did pass it, and that was Mr. Williams. But yeah, I love PE. I loved PE. I loved to exercise, and that's where I would take out, like frustration, or it's a good way to, work with your body, develop your body, and sweat is good. It cleans you out. It's good. Exercise is good. I love tennis. We used to have tennis, volleyball, badminton. I loved all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're already involved. Another question is, what would you tell a student here at Pueblo High School that there's so many things going on, and how were you able to manage all of your time?
One thing about I came from a very strict family, but my mom believed in education. I came from a farm worker family, and my mom worked hard all her life. But one thing was school, any event that had to do with school, she'd give us that opportunity. She wanted us to get good grades, she wanted us to succeed, and she'd give us any opportunity in school that had to do with school. I could stay late. If it was a drama, coming to plays, sporting events. I was even involved in speech. I think one of my teachers got me involved in a tournament. It was my first tournament, and I think I placed third. But I was nervous, but they needed me, and they asked me, and I did it, and it was fun. But anything with school, it was my mother said, go for it, and she'd let us stay, and we could stay late. I could stay late, and friends were involved, and we would come as a group, and we'd walk home, because back at that time I lived on President, and now I live across the street. I live right here on Veterans.
Oh, wow.
So I see everything going on with school.
Wow.
And I love the new marquee. I love it because
Yeah.
it lets you know what's going
Pueblo
on. It
High
lets you know
School.
when Ames is going on. It lets you know when sporting events are going on. It lets you know when the fiesta's going on. It even gives you the temperature, the
Yes,
time.
the
I
time.
love it. I love it.
Earlier on, you were telling me that you really look forward into journalism class here at Pueblo High School. How and you were telling me that you are a journalist, and you get to interview, and you do work for the Arizona Daily Star. Can you tell me how did the experience here at Pueblo High School get you into that, into your own life of becoming a journalist?
I took journalism as an alternative in my English class. And I'll tell you, I didn't know what journalism, I didn't know what the word meant. I just figured, oh, journalism, a journal, a diary, writing, okay. I took it, then I found out, what it was. It was newspapering, reporting. And I've always been inquisitive. Since I was a little girl, I'd always ask questions. And I learned a lot. I learned about deadlines, I learned about accuracy, I learned about responsibility. It built on what I learned at home.
Despite the writing skills too.
Sure, writing and reading important, and communication
Speaking.
important. And no matter what, if you have basics like that, it'll help you in whatever you decide to do in life. So I took the class. We would interview, we do profiles on students, on teachers, on issues. Back then it was Cesar Chavez. We used to have a Safeway across the street. Kids would march. Mecha, U of A students would come, and I was learning about all that. It was the 70s. It was civil rights movements. Back, 60s, what happened in the 60s, kept on in the 70s. We had leaders, Raúl Grijalva, he was a leader at the university, Salomón Valdenegro. Folks that worked in the community helped build El Rio, the west side. There was Margot Cowan. These are people that were real leaders in this community. Isabel Garcia, she's another graduate from here, lawyer, immigration rights activist. Now she's in charge of courts. city or federal courts, I'm not, but anyway, she's one of the heads of the court system here, and she's a graduate from here. But these are all people that helped me. I would read about what they were doing and understand what was going on in our community, and the importance of standing up for your rights, learning about it though, reading about it, reading the history, knowing where you come from. All of that helps form you. All of that gives you inspiration, makes you stronger, so you can help others and improve our community. Yeah.
Going into the journalism field and stuff, another question is, what were some obstacles that you faced breaking into this very competitive field?
Oh my goodness. Well, when I was hired at the Star, the whole newspaper industry.
How'd you begin? Can you tell me how'd you know about the Daily Star?
I internship there my senior year at the U of A. The Star would hire interns, and I applied and I was accepted. There were professors of mine that worked at the Star, and I know they helped. I know they said kind words, but I got in, and then when I graduated December of 1980. They hired me full time in January of 1981. But in the 80s, late 70s, the Kerner Commission did a report. The commission was a group of individuals appointed by the White House to look into integration, to look into what was going on in the United States, the Watts riots, civil rights, communities that weren't represented in the newspapers, in the media, frustration among our minority communities, the importance of integrating the media, getting folks that represent communities in the newspaper industry, in television, in radio, so all stories could be told. The importance of diversity, and diversity is what makes this country. That those stories had to be told, and the Kerner Commission studied what was going on and realized that the media was totally white and male dominated, white and male dominated, and more women, more minorities had to get in there so that true diversity and true stories of what was going on in the United States and across the world could be told. Different cultures and people of those cultures needed to be represented so that understanding could take place, discussion could take place, and stories could come into the fold. And so when I was hired at the Arizona Daily Star, and I am proud that the Star was in the forefront of and saw the importance of integrating the newsroom. Back at that time, they went on they did an effort. They went on and looked for reporters, minorities to take positions, and I was among that group. Yeah.
Once you were there, you were working for them. What was your toughest? Have you ever faced a tough interview? What was your toughest interview that you have interviewed? What's some experiences that you have had to do with?
I've faced
real stories.
I faced several emotional stories. I covered crime for many years for the Star, and when you enter a person's home when someone has just died violently, especially if it deals with children, and you get that family's trust and they open up and talk to you about what they're going through, they're at their lowest point, where a loved one has passed, and they're sharing with you their emotions, their heartache, and explaining what is going on in their minds and their life and their hearts, and you are trying to capture who this person was. I always wanted to tell the reader who the victim was instead of the victim just being another number, another statistic. And so those stories are the toughest in the sense that you're with a human being that is devastated, and you as a human being share that pain. It's where they open up to you and trust you enough so that you can share what they feel. So those are tough stories, but I think they're important stories. I'll never forget a mother who lost her son. He was involved in MAD, or SAD, I guess, Students Against Drunk Drivers. And he was young, he was a high school student, and he went out, he was on the road, and a drunk driver hit him, and he died. And I'll never forget this mother's pain, and to this day, I still see her nose. It was so red, and she cried so much. And during that interview, I just felt, I felt for her so, and I must admit, I felt guilty too. And I woke up, I was young, and back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, drinking and driving was common, and it was common. You know, as students, as in college, partying, and I remember interviewing her and thinking, I have to be responsible.
Yeah. So
you know,
it builds up a lot of responsibility.
Right. You know, I remembered it just as going out. You know, it hit me. I have to be responsible. If I'm going to get behind the wheel,
Yes.
I got to control myself when I'm out, you know, in the clubbing world, you know. And that mother, that her pain, it's been what, 30 years? I still see her face. Yeah.
So a lot of, I'm pretty sure a lot of interviews that you faced with have like, you have maturity enough how to take responsibility and stuff. They have taught you a lot of things.
Well, you share with.
Can you relate to any of them sometimes?
Well, the humanity of it, you know, the pain, but you know, you share those stories and you try to, you know, hope that those stories better the community, where people become more responsible and think a bit more, you know.
Out of all your interviews that you have done, one question I would like to ask you, who would you love to interview? No, this person.
Oh gosh. It's just so many. I guess Mrs. Obama, as First Lady. Yeah, I think it'd be a fun interview, and just to be able to sit and talk to her. You know, everything she's doing in
the health program.
Whole health program, working with children, fighting obesity, better nutrition. I just see them so down to earth in many ways, you know, opening up the White House and letting children go and gardening and dealing with cooks, and they've just, I think their whole presence in the White House is so refreshing and a time that's really exciting, I think, for this nation. President Obama is facing a lot of tough decisions.
So many things going on in
recession,
this
the
world.
economy, and he's doing his best.
Especially
and he's
these
trying to
days.
unite. Well, he's trying to unite, you know, Republicans, Democrats, to come together and work for this country to better it. And it's frustrating when people have their own agendas or don't listen or don't try. But as a leader, as a world leader, I think he's doing his best, and I pray for him every day. I pray for our politicians every day. They have immense responsibility on their shoulders,
Yeah.
and
Sometimes humans don't see that kind of action they're doing. So,
well, you hope they think, they think
Yeah.
things through and do what's best for this nation.
thank you on your perspective. So one last question before I'm done with this interview. What advice do you have for current Provo students in life after Provo?
Set your goals and go for them. And don't let anyone tell you you can't do it. If you want something in life and it's worth it, it takes hard work, and go for it. Do it. Don't let hard work
Don't hesitate.
hold you back. You have to have that ganas within you, and just do it. Set the goals and go for them.